Hi, welcome back. Today on the bench we're tearing down a 7-inch long range. This is actually a used frame I bought. This is my second build in this frame actually. The original frame had individual ESCs, and these are the original motors and props that were on it when I got it. But the flight controller, the flight controller was dead when I got this thing, so I ended up just doing a whole new build using the same motors, but everything else is brand new. And what we're doing today is we're tearing it apart because I have different motors I want to go on here with individual ESCs, and I want to use the Joshua Bardwell flight controller on this. So that's a coming build. It's not today. What we're doing instead is we're stripping everything down to get it ready, and then the ESC that is in this is going in another build. It's a 65 amp HGLRC, so it's not the greatest thing in the world, but it's 65 amp, and I have some 2508s or something like that for a really heavy 5-inch build, and I'd like to use this 65 amp ESC for that. So that's why I've chosen to pull it apart. Anyway, let's get started. Props first, and yeah, I've flown this exactly once, and it didn't fly great, and these motors they're a little underpowered, honestly. For a cruiser, it's brilliant, but for like a 7-inch freestyle-y kind of, anything, it's just not. It's not a very good build. And these are Team Motor 1600 kV. I actually don't know the size, but I think they're like 2406s or 2405s. They're a really low profile sort of cruiser motor for long range builds. That's what they were marketed to. They're the F40s, F40 Pro 2s or something like that. Yeah, T-Motor doesn't put their sizes on here. At least I don't think they do. Nope, I don't see it. So your guess is as good as mine onto the actual dimensions of the stator and everything else. So, and flip it around. And it's got this wonky GoPro mount, which I just sort of printed out to go flying. I don't even, that's TPU or PETG, I think. Yeah, I just did it to get something so that I could mount a GoPro, catch a flight video on it, and honestly the flight video looked like shit, so I never even used any of it for anything, and flew it once, like I said, in Richmond when I was down there, when I crashed the Mega Bee and had a good time with another YouTuber, and but that is done, and today we're doing something different. So yeah, I was never really crazy about this build anyway. I'm not really a long range type of guy. I don't, it doesn't appeal to me very much, so that's I think that's one of the reasons why I'm just not that interested. Although a 7-inch freestyle build does kind of appeal to me, so I do like this camera. It's one of the only rigs that'll run this full-size giant camera. That's the Foxeer, oh god, I don't even remember which Foxeer it is, but it's enormous. It's like a $50 camera, and it's not worth the money. It's not worth the weight, not worth anything really. But it's not like, terrible quality or anything. It's just, it feels a little dated. It's like everything in this hobby gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And I've been in it now for 6 months or 7 months, and you start looking at like, wow, we're already going to 20 by 20 stacks in freestyle builds. Like, that seems crazy, right? A little bit anyway. you know, because when I started 30 by 30 was like the standard, and now I'm about to do a 20 by 20 freestyle lightweight build. I mean, this goes in the camera drawer, and this guy is this thing. Yeah, I don't even know the right way to do this, so yeah, grab the tape. But yeah, I crashed this one. Like that whole weekend that I was there, that whole day I spent flying, I was plagued by loose props, and I think this one had a loose prop as well, as I recall. So I tightened it up and I flew it, and I was like, oh, it had some weird twitchiness, and this was on Betaflight 4. 4 had just come out, and I had just decided, all right, fuck it, I'll just go 4. And the 4, it was okay, but I'm guessing 4.1, 4.2, you know, one of the newer ones, 4.1.2 would fly beautifully on this, I'm sure. And oh no, I made a mistake. This is actually the Flight 1. Yeah, because this is the Cricket board. I almost forgot. And I didn't like the way it flew. And it was awkward to set up and everything else. Now that I'm used to Betaflight, I'm kind of like, okay, I understand. Betaflight takes a minute to get used to. Don't get me wrong. If you've used the configurator, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It just, you feel like there's just a billion things you need to set, options wise. And so you end up kind of like doing and redoing and doing again everything. It just, it's a bit annoying, honestly, and especially for a beginner. And speaking of that, I have been considering doing tutorial-esque beginner build for people, see if I can get people involved in that, and you know, really do a soup to nuts sort of beginner build, like sit down and really plot it all out and plan it, and you know, everything from ordering the parts to you know, all the little gotchas that you run into. That, you know, I have a basement full of parts here, and so for me, doing something like that would be fun, and I think people would watch it. Might get more traction on my channel, which has like nine subscribers. Yeah, me and my 9 subscribers. We'll just keep making builds. But yeah, anyway, as I was saying, I've got that done, and we want to take off this plate. Yeah, I'm not a huge, like I said, I'm not a huge fan of the Armattan stuff. It, I mean, people go crazy for it. I've heard mixed reviews from folks, so I just take everything with a grain of salt. And I strongly recommend that you take my opinions with a grain of salt. Try them out, you know? It's like, buy someone's used junk, throw it together, see if you can make it fly. If you can't, switch it up, do something different. That's what's nice about this hobby, is that, you know, a lot of these parts, just swap them over. Let's clip you, because we don't need this guy anymore. Alright, and we've got the rush in here. Get you. Is that what we're gonna do? disconnect the camera. Snip off this guy. That reminds me, I need to order some more itty bitty zip ties. I am like running low on zip ties. Never thought I'd say that. You know, who runs out of zip ties? Who runs out of zip ties? All right. You. Okay. Yeah, this Flight 1, it has, it's just a bare board. It had no pinouts or no connectors on it. So it was a really interesting build to do. Like if you ever want to do like 9 times more soldering than you ever think is needed, buy a bare board. Good God. It was like, yeah, see, I had to wire all these up manually. Yeah, it was no fun. No fun at all. Alright, let's get you guys out of here. That. Slide this guy over. Yeah. Okay. And then we'll disconnect. Yeah, I had originally wanted to do a DJI build with this 7-inch, but it's just not. It's not the right frame for a DJI, and there's no hole pattern for DJI or anything else. Maybe when the new one comes out, I don't know if you've seen it, but they're CADX and DJI have come together to do a 20 by 20 mount unit, and so it basically replaces the air unit with a 20 by 20 mounted unit, and we'll see if that works. I'm sure I'll buy some at some point when they come out, because I mean, why wouldn't I? Alright, I'll slide you over. Okay. And this little connector in the butt of the quad here is holding in my rush, and it just needs a little bit of gentle persuasion. Get it out. Until my fingertips can grab it. It is so nice to be home, I gotta say. After that vacation, good God, the beds I slept on, it's like, oh, thank God, I'm home in my own bed. Okay. As per usual, I've miscalculated my requirement to remove this from the quad. Still recording. Really? Aha. Ha ha ha. There's the brass guy. And we'll take this, set it aside for a moment while we work on this guy. We're going to need our need these guys. Okay. Let's just do our best to clamp it in place. Yeah, that's not really our best, is it? Okay. Get these in shot, maybe. Ouch. Okay, people, out of the way. Yeah, this is not my favorite flight controller, which is why I'm just going to strip it. We can debate the merits of Cricket's flight controller some other time. But for now, I'm content to move on to something else. Done. There it is. And like I said, here's the back of the board. Hopefully this is not washed out or anything. But yeah, so it comes bare. There's no connectors. As you can see, these connectors, these are all spots for connectors. There's like what's that? 7 connectors that could be on here other than this. And what you get instead is a board without any. So it's super light, don't get me wrong. If you run into a super light build, this might be a good option, but I mean, there's 2020 super lights too. So I kind of feel like if you really, really wanted to go super light, you could go super light with a 2020. Yeah, it's just an annoying, mostly annoying. That's how I would describe this guy. And it being Flight 1, I could reflash with Betaflight, but I just didn't. So anyway, moving on. Let's get this guy. Oh, and look, is that a Crossfire? It is. Look at that. I have another Crossfire. Well, good. That'll come in handy on the next one. Let's plug these into their respective receptacles and disconnect these motor wires next. Leave that guy to the side. Yeah, and this guy can have this guy, like so. And yeah, this guy, this HDLRC hopefully is halfway decent in my next build. Again, HDLRC doesn't have the best rep, but I really haven't had too many issues with them. Give me just a dollop of solder here. Again, we're up near 425, give or take, Celsius for this work. That's about where you want to be for pads these size. Again, it's a question of thermodynamics. You want to get heat into your pad as fast as you can without damaging the substrate, right? That underlying layer doesn't really like that heat very much. It's not going to go wonky on you, but that it's bonded, right? It's basically glued together. It's fiberglass, and so the longer you're on there, the more heat you end up having to put into something, right? And so that's why I'm always like, the higher the heat, the shorter the time it takes to put that heat in there, right? So you're not just constantly heating, you know, it's all about getting in there and getting it done quickly, right? And that does two things. One, it gets the pad hot without getting the substrate hot, and at least that's the theory, and makes it so that you can bond to it, and leaves a good solder joint in the end. And then it keeps you from melting that substrate and pulling a pad away. Because that's the other thing that happens, is if you're on it too long, you're done. And yeah, Jesus, that's a chunky. It's a good thing it's going on a heavy build. The build this is going on is an aluminum framed Craven from eBay. You'll have to find it, and it's really kind of an interesting looking quad, and I'll get that put together here in the next couple weeks, I'm sure. But the motors for it are chunk hefty 3B hobby chunky motors. So we're gonna take that and that. This guy, we'll just stick these guys back on here like so. Screw these in to the back side. I'm going to leave the camera in this quad because honestly I don't have another quad that needs a camera this size or can take a camera this size, so there's really no reason for me to go and pull it out, you know. And the other thing, even this back connector I'll probably end up replacing, because for long range you kind of want a big long whip antenna that comes up above your battery, not a little stubby. So it's kind of strange that it has a stubby anyway. Alright, let's get these motors out. Nope, not the right one. Let's put you away. I keep opening the wrong drawer today. My vacation wiped my mind. Cheers. Cold coffee. Jesus, really? spinning the shaft here. No. Well, all right then. I guess I'm fixing the shaft. Or not. When in doubt, use power tools. I haven't charged this battery in forever. Yeah, I'm gonna have fun with this one, I think. I've never done individual ESCs before. Is that right? Is that true? Yeah, no, I haven't. Weird. The things you forget, right? And so this will be an interesting one to do. Okay. Motors are done. Yep, that's all of them. Let's get this guy off of here. Sticky tape. Yeah, I'd hoped that the DJI unit would fit here, but it's just too tight. It's too snug against those, and you can't get a board in. And then I thought, well, gee, I could, you know, if you have a look at this guy real quick. It's just, I mean, you know, with a flight controller and ESC in there, it's just too close. And I thought, well, gee, I could mount it right on top. And then if you actually look, you've got maybe a 1/4 inch to fit an AIO or something in there. It's just too close. It's just too much. Plus it gets hot. So I think I could probably do it if I tried really hard to get it up in there. Pretty sure I could squeeze a DJI unit into this thing. But I'm not sure I care that much anymore, you know? This quad wasn't that great a flyer to begin with, and we'll see how it turns out later on with a different setup, and maybe it'll be different. Maybe I'll like it a lot and want to go hog wild with it, and but we'll see just how it turns out when that day comes, and I hope you'll be watching then. That'll be a fun little 7-inch build. And then we want, I think it's, were they super shorties? I think the super shorties were up front. Come on out of there. Maybe getting shot, huh? Not used to filming, you know. You take a few days off and come back and you're like, oh yeah, that's right. I gotta make sure that all the stuff I'm doing is actually visible for anyone that wants to see it. So, yep. This was one of the ones on my list I wanted to get done. And I'm actually planning on doing a build today, so hopefully we'll get this all cleaned up. And that's it. That it is. It's all tore down. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and if not, then too bad. Maybe you'll like something else I've done. But, yep. Let's get this put away. I know this wasn't terribly exciting, but this was critical for getting a couple of the components needed for the next couple of builds I'm planning, and I hope you're excited about them as I am, and we'll get them done and off the bench finally. Get some of these things taken care of and built finally once and for all. All right, well, thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.